Recently, there's a massive surge of interest for digital compact cameras. This is the Sony RX100 Mark III. It houses a large 1-inch size image sensor, bright aperture zoom lens, and some really capable features in a compact form factor. It seems like the perfect digital compact camera. I brought this Sony RX100 Mark III out for some shutter therapy, and in this video I want to share the things that I like and dislike about this camera. Let's do this! I have made a video to talk about the original Sony RX100 Mark I. I'll put the link to the video up here. Please check it out if you have not done so. In that video, I mentioned that I really love the concept of the Sony RX100, but there were some issues in that camera and I wish it could have been improved. Now here, I have the Sony RX100 Mark III. We are skipping the Mark II version and going straight to Mark III. I hope that Sony has address the issues that were found in the original Sony RX100 Mark I. Looking at the paper specifications, it seems like there were some serious upgrades in this Mark III compared to the original Mark I version. We're going to explore all these improvements and see whether this Sony RX100 Mark III has become the perfect digital compact camera that Sony has made. But before that, I want to share some images that I've taken with this Sony RX100 Mark III in my recent shutter therapy sessions. There are many things that I really like about this Sony RX100 Mark III. Number one, I really love the upgraded lens. Here in the Mark III version, it uses the 24-70 f1.8 to f2.8 versus the 28-100 f1.8 to 4.9 in the original Mark I version. I treasure the wider coverage of 24 versus 28. It means that in tight situations, I can fit a lot more within my frame. Also, I treasure the bright aperture f1.8 to f2.8 versus f1.8 to f4.9 in the original Mark I version. f2.8 versus f4.9, you can see how this Mark III version can gather more light and it can help in low light shooting situations. There is one sacrifice worth noting though. In the original Mark I version, the lens goes to 100mm at the longest telephoto end. Here in the Mark III version, it goes only to 70, and there is a sacrifice there, and to me that's perfectly fine. It's not a big deal. I prefer the wider coverage over the longer end, but hey, you may disagree with me, but for me that's perfectly fine. Number two, I love that this Sony RX100 Mark III features a large 1-inch size image sensor. It's definitely larger than most compact cameras out there. The 1-inch size image sensor still produces excellent resolution, very good dynamic range, and definitely good enough high ISO performance. Paired with the bright aperture lens, I can do a lot with this and get away with very good image quality. Number three, I really like that there's a tilt LCD screen on this RX100 Mark III that's not available in the Mark I version. It allows me more creative composition. I can do low angle and high angle compositions a lot easier. Definitely something very useful for street photography that I do a lot. Number four, this is truly impressive. Although this is a very small camera, Sony managed to fit the electronic viewfinder inside this RX100 Mark III. Mark I version doesn't have an electronic viewfinder. I know the electronic viewfinder is nothing to shout about. It's very small, resolution isn't great, refresh rate isn't great, but having an electronic viewfinder is still better than not having one at all in some situations. In very bright sunny day when visibility of the LCD screen is not really great, that electronic viewfinder can be a lifesaver. Number five, the autofocus performance on this RX100 Mark III has been improved. It is slightly faster, more confident, and definitely it is more reliable compared to the original Mark I version. And definitely all the things that I like are all included here in the RX100 Mark III, which is a very small camera, very compact package, which brings us to number 6. I love how small and how light this camera truly is. It is pocketable. I can bring this camera easily everywhere with me. Of course, there are some things that I dislike about this Sony RX100 Mark III. Number 1, poor handling. The front of the camera, the hand gripping part, it is perfectly flat. Not only that, it is also very smooth. It is very slippery when I was holding the camera. The camera almost slipped off my hand several times. And the thumb hook at the back, there is a tiny thumb resting area, but it is so small, it is insignificant. You can just ignore it altogether. It doesn't make any difference. I think in terms of ergonomics and handling, Sony could have improved this a little bit better. Number 2, laggy operations. When you're scrolling through the menu or previewing image, when you're zooming in to pixel peep, the operations, they are not smooth. Sometimes it's stuttery, and that is really annoying. I think the processor in the camera is not powerful enough to handle all the operations, or maybe the programming or the algorithm is not optimized for the camera's operations. I don't know which is which, but overall user experience is quite disappointing. Number 3, this really irks me. There's no quick way to change the focusing point of the camera. Now you have a bright aperture lens f1.8, right? And you have a large sensor 1 inch. So if you miss focus, it's very obvious. It's very important for you to nail your critical focus, right? So I need to change the focusing point to the locations of exactly where I want it to be. And I need to do that quickly. There's just no quick way of doing that. I need to press a button twice or more to get to the focusing point changing, and that's really frustrating. Number 4, as usual, I don't like the colors coming out from Sony camera. Maybe the recent newer generation cameras from Sony that have improved this, but this older generation, this Sony camera from about like 8 years, 10 years ago, the colors, they're nothing to shout about. They don't look good at all. And number 5, dynamic range on this camera, while the sensor is considered large and better than most compact cameras, to me is still not good enough. In situations where there's some contrast, not even extreme contrast, some bright highlights and some deep shadows, this camera, this RX100 Mark III already struggles to balance the dynamic range. I can see highlight clippings and I can't recover any details from that. To me, I'm so used to what I get from my Micro Four Thirds quality or any other camera systems like full frame. Coming back to this 1 inch sensor, it's just suddenly it's not good enough. I really like that Sony tried the best to improve this RX100 Mark III version compared to the original version. It has a new lens, brighter aperture, wider coverage, also has electronic viewfinder and tiltable LCD screen. Sony really put a lot of effort, but I'm also disappointed to see that Sony failed to address the original issues from the Mark I. Poor handling, the autofocus points, there's no quick way to change it, and the stuttery, laggy operations. I think those things also matter and they should have fixed them before they try to improve the camera further. So in conclusion, no, this Sony RX100 Mark III is not the perfect digital camera. It still has some shortcomings, which I think could have been easily fixed by Sony. I don't have the newer versions, Mark IV, Mark V, Mark VI, or Mark VII to test, and I don't want to just look at the paper specifications and make my conclusions out of thin air. So I'm going to stop my analysis here. I hope you have found my sharing beneficial. I did enjoy using this Sony RX100 Mark III for my street photography. For what it is still a wonderful, small, capable, compact camera. Do you agree with my thoughts? Do share your opinion in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed looking at my photographs, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal, or you can join as a member on this channel. Links in the description below on how you can do any of that. Any contribution goes a long way, will definitely help me to share more here on this channel. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.